Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Tonight, the cleanup continues and will for some time following this week's record storm. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Today, city crews were sent out across southeastern San Diego, one of the hardest hit areas. In Mountain View, they were helping remove trash and debris from the street and assessing the damage. Our media partner KGTV spoke to Jose Garcia as he cleaned out his ruined belongings, including a new mattress that wasn't paid off yet and his son's Christmas toys. Garcia says he hopes the city keeps helping.
They got the trucks out here. That's, like I said, it's a step in the right direction. Keep listening to us. Keep hearing us out at the meetings. There's always an excuse as to why they can't do anything about it, and well, just no more excuses.
Garcia says he and his neighbors have been frustrated with the city all week, not just for what they call a slow response, but because problems with the nearby creek have been ignored for far too long. Businesses throughout San Diego County were also devastated by flooding. KPBS reporter Melissa May spoke with some business owners about their next steps.
The Grantville Station Business Park on Mission Gorge Road is right next to a part of the San Diego River that normally looks something like this. But after Monday's flooding, water overflowed over the concrete barriers and caused major damage to all the businesses, including Traveler Coffee Roaster and One Season Brewing.
So the water stretched all the way, you couldn't even get into the parking lot. And I just waited it out in horror, didn't sleep at all Monday night.
That's owner Dan Romeo, who couldn't believe what he saw when he walked into his business on Tuesday.
To be honest with you, I mean, this has been, 6 years of hard work, so I cried. Yeah, I mean, it's all gone at the end of the day. And, just for it to end like this.
Romeo says his business had never really recovered from the pandemic and was actually in the process of selling some of his assets.
But now they're worthless. Everything here just got destroyed. I'm in the middle of just trying to put the pieces together and trying to salvage whatever can be salvaged over the next couple weeks. And I don't have flood insurance, so this is all just a massive loss.
Romeo says he doesn't have the funds for repairs and has to close down.
The space looks like a hurricane came through here. It was just wild. And this wasn't even the worst unit, in this area. Some of these other units it's even crazier.
Like Native Poppy, located at the end of the business park.
I opened the door, just like water rushed out, and just all of our merchandise and gifts and supplies were just rushing by me.
Native Poppy founder Natalie Gill says their warehouse looked like an aquarium.
The whole warehouse was filled with 3 feet of water. You can see the water lines in here. They're like waist high.
The first call Gill made was to her insurance broker.
I was panicking, but I mean, without flood insurance, and he said even if we did have flood insurance, that doesn't necessarily mean everything would be covered. So I don't know. I think that so many San Diegans right now, this was a disaster. I don't think anybody knows how to proceed.
Gill and Romeo each estimate at least $100,000 in damage. And Native Poppy is still recovering from a car crashing into one of their flower shops a year and a half ago.
For some reason, this just feels different. This feels sadder, heavier.
California Department of Insurance Deputy Commissioner Michael Soller says flooding like this is becoming more common.
Climate change exacerbating extreme weather conditions and, communities seeing flooding that maybe had never seen it before. So unfortunately, that's not the time that you want to learn that your homeowner's insurance or your business coverage doesn't cover flooding. But that's unfortunately what a lot of people find out.
The Insurance Information Institute recommends reporting damages to San Diego County. The county is collecting a damage assessment survey so they can assess the extent of the damage and advocate to the state and federal governments for assistance. Melissa May, KPBS News.
And a reminder, completing the damage survey does not guarantee you will be eligible to receive disaster relief assistance, but the information will be helpful in the county's requests for aid. Today, the Board of Supervisors ratified an emergency proclamation, and Governor Newsom issued one for San Diego County yesterday. You can find a link to the damage survey on our website. Just go to kpbs.org/weather.
With the onshore flow of wind back in the mix, we will see some low cloudiness again returning here for tonight. Temperatures dropping down into the mid-50s, but we do have some changes coming up as we head our way down the road. A switch in the wind direction and also some changes with temperatures. And I'll let you know if any more rain is in the equation as we work our way down the road here too. All those details are coming up.
The San Diego City Council has approved substantial changes to the city's surveillance transparency law. KPBS's Scott Rod reports that privacy advocates say the changes water down hard-fought reforms.
San Diego has had a rocky history with surveillance technology. In 2016, for example, the city rolled out so-called smart streetlights equipped with cameras, which police began to review without the public knowing. So privacy rights advocates celebrated in 2022 when the city passed an ordinance requiring the review of all surveillance equipment within 1 year. Fast forward to today. That deadline has been pushed back by several years. Few technologies have been fully vetted, and privacy rights advocates sound like this.
We are furious. Today's vote is a time to show the people watching that you stand by your words.
I'm not adverse to updating the privacy ordinance for clarity or good faith adjustments, but these mass exemptions cannot be allowed.
That was Lily Irani and Talitha Wright speaking during the City Council's regular meeting on Tuesday. The council voted to exempt technologies such as surveillance cameras and police databases from review. Mayor Todd Gloria's office pushed for the changes, arguing the ordinance is too broad and would require time-consuming reviews for basic tools, including email newsletter software and social media apps. And the changes will likely keep coming. Here's Councilmember Marnie Von Wilpert, who chairs the city's Public Safety Committee.
I will bring this ordinance forward for amendments as often as we need, because we are going to have to work to get this right. I have now started the voting system. Please cast your vote.
Council members approved the changes with a 6-2 vote. Scott Rod, KPBS News.
Amazon's Ring will no longer let police and other government agencies request doorbell camera footage directly from users. Instead of making requests through the company's Neighbors app, authorities must now submit a formal legal request to the company. Privacy advocates hail the move as a long-awaited victory for civil liberties. Boeing's safety record is under an increasingly hotter spotlight. The company's CEO met with lawmakers on Capitol Hill today, weeks after a door plug panel blew off an Alaska Airlines flight mid-air. Laura Geary has more on the meeting and why Boeing will temporarily shut down one of its plants.
Flight 1282 should never have happened. Boeing is better than this.
The CEO of Alaska Airlines taking Boeing to task as his grounded fleet of 737 MAX 9 jets undergo inspection following that terrifying in-flight blowout earlier this month.
We found some loose bolts on many of our MAX 9s. So those, yeah. So those are things that are going to be rectified through the inspection process.
Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun is on Capitol Hill Wednesday, called to a closed-door meeting with lawmakers who will likely press him for answers into the Alaska Air incident and for assurances that airlines and the flying public can trust Boeing's product.
I think that this hearing will illuminate what some of those challenges have been and how we can fix them and fix them quickly.
While Calhoun meets with congressional leaders, federal aviation investigators are scrutinizing Boeing's entire production process.
It really takes us to production, manufacturing, maintenance, those types of issues, and ensuring that the pieces are where they need to be and all the bolts are in place.
Federal inspectors are on site at Boeing's plant in Renton, Washington, where the 737 MAX 9s are made. Company execs plan to pause production at that facility Thursday to focus on quality control. While at an NTSB lab in D.C., the search for answers into the Alaska Airlines door plug failure continues.
You want to make sure we are getting the right answers to get to the right solutions. That's why it takes time.
I'm Laura Aguirre for KPBS News.
A change is coming to financial aid applications, but it may be worth the wait. The Department of Education is adjusting this year's FAFSA application. An overhauled form making the process easier was released on December 30th, but the latest inflation data wasn't tied into it. The department is making that change now, but it may delay things a little bit. It will also release an additional $1.8 billion in financial aid. Pre-enrollment for universal transitional kindergarten started this week in the San Diego Unified School District. The state now considers this the first year of school, but it's optional. And KPBS education reporter MG Perez tells us sign up for parents is now more convenient.
It's a good morning here at Field Elementary School in Claremont, where 4-year-old students are learning in English and Spanish with some sign language mixed in too. Veteran teacher Cameron Hupp and her co-teacher are working in this universal transitional kindergarten class, also known as UTK. This is the second year of California's rollout, offering early learning to any child who turns 4 by September 1st.
We know that the attention span for a 4-year-old is about 15 minutes. So if we do something academic, then we have a movement break, or we do something that's more play-based.
Can I just cook a turkey?
UTK offers these kids a head start in preparation for kindergarten, and 4-year-old Grayson is getting into the swing of it, especially learning his alphabet.
We're looking at G's.
The letter G?
Uh-huh.
What words start with the letter G?
Gorilla.
What other word starts with the letter G?
Godzilla.
Besides the academics, there were also more social lessons to be learned. How to line up, how to sit on the carpet, hands to yourself, how to take turns. The California UTK program is designed to add more 4-year-olds every year. Here in the San Diego Unified District, that means an additional 300 seats and at least 15 more classes added in the coming year. And for parents, sign-up can be done in person at their child's home school. No trips to district headquarters or long waits on the phone.
A little difficult for some of our families. They can rest assured that the enrollment process is starting at the school sites, and they can get all their questions answered by the staff at their home schools.
Pre-enrollment is open through February 2nd. Brought to you on this day by the letter G. MG Perez, KPBS News.
A former whites-only neighborhood could become San Diego's largest historic district to date. KPBS reporter Katie Heisen looked into why critics say it would reinforce racial divides.
This is a very common feature of these hacienda-style houses, these California ranches, is this kind of ornate woodwork on the garage door.
Laura Henson points out the house on Norma Drive's distinct Depression-era features: tile roofing and enclosed courtyard. It's one of more than 400 properties that could be protected if the city's preservation board votes Thursday to recommend Talmadge as a historic district. Henson says it's important to preserve the history of these homes, financed by Hollywood elite and subsidized by Roosevelt's New Deal. Critics say there's another side to that history. Their films included racist portrayals. The subsidies almost never extended to black homebuyers. And the neighborhood marketed itself as whites only, boosting property values. Today, the city lists Talmadge as one of 3 racially segregated areas of wealth.
Hi, good morning, how are you?
Wesley Morgan says naming it a historic district would worsen this divide by increasing home prices, decreasing property taxes, and slowing housing development.
The Historic Resource Board as a whole is definitely a forum of privilege where those who have the resources to invest in spending the time to look at history and write reports benefit from all of the privilege that they were able to put into that effort.
He says that lack of diversity fails the rest of San Diego.
The majority of people will never live in a historic district. They can't afford to live there. And those are our highest resource areas. Those are the areas with the best schools, with the safest streets.
The board will vote Thursday at 1 p.m. Katie Hyson, KPBS News.
San Diego County is home to more than 5,000 farms. In fact, we have more farms than any other county in the U.S. in the first of a two-part series. KPBS reporter John Carroll tells us about a new effort to support local farmers.
Most farms in San Diego County are small operations between 1 and 9 acres. At 130 acres, Rodriguez Family Farms in Valley Center is among the larger farms in the county.
And we probably grow about 100 different items on our farm.
That's Mike Clark, the fourth generation to farm on these gentle hills.
Kind of grew up on the farm. I'm 34, but all this here is grown, and the grower is Joe Rodriguez, which is my uncle.
This is the slow time of year at Rodriguez Family Farms. There are only about 50 crops in the ground right now, but this is still a busy place. Even in the dead of winter, there is always something going on this farm. You can see the tractor right there. He is tilling the earth, plowing under an old crop of lettuce. Meantime, over here, workers are planting a brand new crop of lettuce. Clark will be the first to tell you farming is not easy. So when he heard about the new county effort to help local farmers, he was thrilled.
Our costs are extremely high, so this is definitely going to help offset those costs by getting that money directly to the farm.
So how does it work? For the answer, we turned to County Supervisor Tara Lawson-Reamer. She was the driving force behind what's called the Sustainable, Equitable, and Local Food Sourcing Program. It launched in early December.
We're the county. We're here to be a partner. It's, millions and millions and millions of dollars of taxpayer money, of San Diego taxpayer money we spend every single year, and we should be spending to support our local economy.
To be clear, this is not an increase in spending. Lawson-Reamer says the money would be spent anyway. The county buys a lot of food that feeds lots of people, everything from children in school to people in jail. What's different now is a set of values that the folks who procure food for the county will have to follow.
So there's a lot of different values that we gave them, but those were really the core ones around equity and local sourcing and environmental sustainability and workers, and said, okay, now when you put a bid out for procurement, the most competitive bids are going to be the ones that can show that they treat their workers well. They can show that they have regenerative and organic farming practices that are local and can show that they give back to the local economy.
It's very hard to compete with Mexico product and product from up north. So for us, being able to work directly with these buyers is tremendous. They're able to respect the fact that our cost is higher being here in San Diego and give us the money directly. That's huge.
There is more to this new approach than the county and the farmers. Tomorrow night, we'll take you to a San Diego business that plays an important role in making the program work. And we'll hear from one of Clark's relatives who has a unique way of getting out the message about the importance of organic, sustainable farming. He raps about it. You don't want to miss that. John Carroll, KPBS News.
And it's not just residents of San Diego County that are still dealing with the aftermath of the storm we experienced this week. Animals have also been hit hard by it. Our media partner KGTV got a first-hand look at the cleanup effort this morning of flooding that took place at Sweetwater Farms Horse Ranch in Bonita. They say that in a matter of 15 minutes, water levels went from normal to engulfing their entire property.
They were swimming. These guys were swimming, and I've got we had to rescue out of this back corral. We had 7 ponies. Right where we are here was a major kind of riverway on Monday with waist-high water here.
City and county leaders promise that more help is coming for those affected by the storm. And here's another animal that was in need of rescue in the Tijuana River Valley. That's where a dog was reported to be stranded in a flooded field with a bucket stuck on his head. Rescuers had to use a boat to reach it, and when they did, it wasn't a dog after all, but a coyote. After getting medical care for hypothermia and removing the bucket, the coyote was taken to the Humane Society's Ramona Wildlife Center, and now it will recover there before being returned back into the wild.
We're in the clouds here, at least over the next 12 to 18 hours, going throughout the overnight into the first half of Thursday, especially along the coast and even some of the interior valleys. You'll also notice a bit of a warming trend for all areas as we go throughout the coming days. And we'll get to that weekend forecast. Any changes down the road, we'll let you know ahead. But lots of cloudiness, as you can see, as we go throughout this evening into tonight's. Notice how the clouds just hug the coast, and there we go throughout the overnight. Can't rule out a sprinkle, but I think most spots will be dry, and then more cloudiness into a good chunk of Thursday morning, if not even the midday hours. Overnight low temperature for tonight, 44 in Ramona, 50 at Oceanside, Chula Vista down to 52. And even out over the interior, some clouds around Borrego Springs and Mount Laguna. But it's going to be a dry day as we venture our way into Thursday, and relatively mild. Yeah, that's right. That's the direction we're moving with temperatures. They're going to be climbing here. And we'll be topping off right around 63 in Chula Vista, 65 at Oceanside. Again, lots of clouds along the coast and some of the interior valleys. But you break out east toward the mountains, the deserts, we will experience a lot of sunshine here. So let's work our way down the road. There you immediately see the sunshine returning. We get a little offshore flow here at the coast, and wow, numbers bounce up into the mid-70s. What a beautiful weekend coming up here. Overnight lows in the 40s. Interior valleys, we're going to make a run at 80 degrees either Saturday or Sunday. And low clouds still, like I said, the mix on Thursday, and still nice into early next week. So a prolonged period of dry conditions coming up. Subtle changes with temperatures here to the mountainous terrain. There will be some wind Thursday and again as we go into Saturday. And also notice as we take a look at the deserts, we're climbing up close to 80 by Monday. Sunshine across the board. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Justin Pavic.
I'm Amna Navaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, after former President Trump wins New Hampshire, what's next in the race for the White House? That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
And here's another look at today's top stories. After Monday's storm, city crews focused cleanup efforts in one of San Diego's hardest hit areas, Mountain View. Crews helped remove trash and debris from the street and assess the damage. Some residents say they have been frustrated with the city for what they call a slow response and for a long time inaction on problems with the nearby creek. Monday's storm also devastated businesses. Two business owners we spoke to estimate at least $100,000 in losses due to flood damage. One says they are forced to close down. Homeowners and business insurance policies typically do not cover rain flooding damage. The California Department of Insurance Deputy Commissioner recommends reporting damages to San Diego County. The link to their survey is available on our website. And finally, today is the first day of the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines. But as KPBS reporter Alexander Wynn shows us, for a group of college-age young adults, today is about getting the opportunity to explore careers associated with the golf tournament.
As golfers drive, chip, and putt their way down the course at Torrey Pines, a group of underserved college-age young adults got a behind-the-scenes tour of the Farmers Insurance Open.
What I do typically here is oversee the technical operations.
They got to see how the tournament is produced for television, how the length of each drive and each putt is measured.
Seeing it in person was so amazing.
These young adults are part of the Champions for Youth Career Tour hosted by the Century Club. The club operates the entire Farmers Open. Jennifer Cota is with the Century Club.
It is our way to give back to the community, and as a way of that, or as part of that, we're leveraging this tournament and all those opportunities that come with it.
Many of the 30 young participants are transitioning out of the foster care system and don't have access to guidance or career mentors. Cota says this is one way the Century Club is providing that support. As you can see at Torrey Pines, the golfers and the people are watching the Farmers Open. But what does this have to do with a career in the media?
I think it starts with exposure.
Exposure was what these young people got, including words of advice from media professionals.
Kept going and, working really hard.
Aaliyah Banks is one of the participants on today's tour. She says the exposure inspired her to pursue a career in sports media.
It's just so many opportunities, and you get to travel as well with her, so that is super cool and interesting to me. And yeah, it got my I'm rolling right now, and I'm like, this is something that I think a lot of us would like to do growing up. This is really fun.
Coda says this is what the tour is about. Many participants told her they didn't know these types of jobs existed. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
KPBS has launched a new newsletter. North County Focus offers a quick recap of the big stories happening in North County, as well as a roundup of everything happening in the region. You can sign up for it at the link shown on your screen, kpbs.org/North County Focus. And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. The beloved California roadside restaurant Anderson's Pea Soup has closed its doors. NPR's Morning Edition discusses what made it so special. And KPBS Midday Edition has your weekend arts preview, including how the Casbah Music venue is celebrating its 35th anniversary. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following: by viewers like you. Thank you.